In Sussex Partnership NHS Foundation Trust, we want to make sure that anybody who uses our mental health services and wants to go back to work is helped to do that. In the past, we've used many different sorts of approaches. From now on, we'll be using one approach that we know works. That approach is called individual placement with support. Our clinical teams will work in partnership with third sector providers to make sure that you get the help that you need. So if you have mental health problems and are keen to go back to work, we have the solution that will help you do that.
I was roughly unemployed for 2 years. Before I became unwell, I was working with people with learning disabilities. Unemployment made me feel like I wasn't part of a team, like I wasn't part of a community. I felt every time I walked down the street that I should be working, and I wasn't, and it made my self-esteem go down.
I used to be a medical statistician, but I had a breakdown and I had to give up work. And a couple of months later, I made a suicide attempt. And it was quite serious. I was in hospital for a long time, 6 months. Being unemployed made me feel very worthless. I didn't have a structure to my life, and I felt I wanted a purpose in life and to feel I was being useful.
I was unemployed for about 2 years. It was really difficult to find anything. I couldn't get interviews. No one was interested. Gaps in my CV were making it very, very difficult.
There are 7 key areas within IPS. The fundamental principle is that paid employment is a realistic goal for everyone who wants a job. Eligibility does not depend on job readiness, symptoms, or previous history. If people have a willingness to try, support should be offered. People are more likely to enjoy and stay in their job if their individual interests and experience are taken into account. Job search starts quickly, as training can be undertaken and confidence developed while working. Job outcomes are highest when the employment specialist and mental health team work closely together. Access to specialist benefits advice enables people to make informed choices about returning to work. Support in the workplace is available for the individual and the employer to ensure the job works out.
People's employment needs should be raised right at the very beginning through assessments with community mental health team members, or perhaps if they're being admitted into hospital during that assessment period as well. It's kept on the agenda and aspirations and expectations are explored at that point, right at the very beginning.
Yes, well, obviously work is very important for our patients' well-being, and work-related issues or unemployment play a major part always in their recovery. And as consultants, we practice according to the biopsychosocial model, and so the social element is always very important in the treatment we provide. I regularly have conversations with the employment specialist and regularly review my cases with him.
When I first come to my employment specialist, I thought that the job they would give me would be something on the lines of in a charity shop or some putting screws in boxes, not a very fulfilling job. So I was a bit concerned that I was going to get one of them jobs.
My first experience of a client might be when they're trying to hold a job and something's coming up within that work that's mental health related. So anybody who's accessing the community mental health team is eligible for my support. Once they're referred, I would assess everybody on an individual basis and try and help them achieve the goals that they've identified. I make it clear at the assessment stage that basically I'm following the individual's lead. Throughout the process, I would check with the client that this is something that they wish to take forward, and I will give them a menu of options as to how we might proceed, from which they will choose the option that they think best suits them, and to the best of my ability, I would support them in going through that process.
It was good to get support from my employment specialist, especially because they helped me with my CV, mock interviews, actually coming to an interview with me. We looked at different jobs on the computer, tried to arrange what my skills were with the jobs that were on the computer.
When I first met Mike, we looked at what he'd like to do. He quickly identified that paid work was where he'd want to go, so we started looking straight away.
Getting on benefits was terribly hard. The amount of forms you have to fill in, I couldn't have done it without support.
It was a big worry. I'd been on benefits for some time. I wanted to go back to work, but I wasn't sure what would happen with my benefits, whether I'd lose them if I went back to work, it didn't work out, whether I'd be worse off financially. My employment specialist helped me by reassuring me that I wouldn't be worse off going back to work. She phoned up on my behalf to the Job Centre Plus and supported me in going back to work.
We haven't had to make very many adjustments to our working practices because of the support we get in the first place. We're very sure that we know enough about the person coming, that they are in the right post, and most of the support is there anyway as part of our normal working practices. So it's been very few adjustments.
The client had very high anxiety levels, so we talked about introducing her very slowly to my client base and goals for her to meet in encountering that, which worked very, very well. We worked on some of my clients. She also was starting to build her own business and was very anxious about what was required of her. So we looked at those issues as well, and what was required under the tax office, what was required for her with business cards and talking to people. So we actually worked on some of her own clients. We brought them to my clinic and she worked on them here under my supervision, and she is now still seeing those long term.
The employment specialist was in touch with myself and the company, and the employment specialist acted like a buffer between me and the company.
When I was actually working, I didn't need as much support from my employment specialist as I was expecting, but it was a real confidence booster just knowing that they were on the end of the phone, and if there had been any problems, that I could just phone them up and I'd have their support.
I enjoy my time now with the children and with my wife. I also feel like I'm part of the community because I'm actually going earning and paying my taxes like everybody else. So it is nice. I feel really fulfilled.
Since returning to work, my life has improved an amazing amount. It's really helped my mental health treatment. My mental health is significantly improved, and I think getting back to work and doing a really challenging, interesting job is a big part of that. I think that working definitely does give you a real strong sense of confidence. I felt a lot of these things, like having a job I really enjoyed, would be impossible, and it's proved otherwise.
My life feels much more structured now I'm back at work. I have a purpose to get up in the morning, and I enjoy getting out and meeting people, and it gives me something to talk about, you know, because I feel now I actually can say I'm doing something, it makes you feel bad when you have to tell people you're unemployed. Even filling in forms, actually ticking a box saying that you're working, it gives you enormous pleasure.